Did you know that Nikola Tesla was obsessed with pigeons? Or that a famed scientist literally got his idea from a glowing raccoon in the forest? Or that a literal rocket scientist tried to summon an interdimensional goddess and practice the occult? Okay, this is about weird geniuses and facts about them, and if they were contacting interdimensional spirits or higher intelligences. And there's some more secrets, so stay tuned. 1. Nikola Tesla. This man who created free energy was celibate, eccentric, and obsessed with pigeons. And the number 3. Had extreme OCD. He had something with like women can't wear pearls, I don't remember. And he also claimed to receive fully formed ideas and flashes of light right in front of him, almost as if they were from another dimension. I think he said it was Mars at the time. So then there's Mullis, an American biochemist. He invented something called PCR, which is basically a breakthrough that allows us to copy DNA. Basically. He believed outside his cabin one night, not on DRUGS, not on them, he saw an interdimensional glowing raccoon. It spoke to him, it seemed to be guiding him towards something, and helped him formulate his ideas. Then we have John Whiteside Parsons, an oddball. He was an American rocket engineer and chemist. He also practiced under occult Aleister Crowley, and even dipped into Scientology. He was one of the founding fathers of modern rocketry, and he believed he was guided by interdimensional beings. He literally attempted a ritual called Babylon Working, trying to summon an interdimensional goddess into our reality. And then shortly after, he died in a mysterious explosion. He also thought rocketry and magic were linked somehow, and that what I think he was right about is humans were destined to use science and mysticism to explore the stars. Then we have the great Isaac Newton. He was an English polymath, mathematician, physicist, blah, blah, blah. He was suspected of being neurodivergent, had extreme social anxiety, quite the paranoia, and he spent years obsessed with biblical prophecy and alchemy. And behind closed doors, he was more obsessed with the supernatural than physics. Yeah. Then we have Steve Jobs. The creator of Apple needs no introduction, I'm sure. He was a perfectionist, obviously had an intense personality, was not that great with relationships in his family, we know this. But he also not only was into Zen Buddhism, he credited LSD with expanding his mind. He believed that psychedelics helped him create and think beyond normal perception. I think you can actually do this without that, which I'll explain at the end of the video. But people do it. That's fine. I'm not recommending anything on here though. Then we had Edgar Allan Poe. Obviously a poet and a writer. His genius came to the very dark side. He was very addicted to alcohol, and he was obsessed with death and consciousness. With his stories, he would talk about how he was tuning into something beyond time itself. And this is actually a huge theme, which I'm going to talk about why this happens. All of these geniuses, a lot of the time, there's a fine line between genius and mad. They seem to have these crazy, horrible things happen to them, or their lives get negatively affected. I think I figured out why this happens and how we can stop this, or at least transmute it, to be geniuses that live nice lives. Stay tuned for the end of the video. Then we have John Nash Jr. He was a Nobel Prize winning mathematician. I can't speak. This is what the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe is based off of. So even though he had schizophrenia, he changed mathematics forever with game theory. And he believed he was receiving secret messages from hidden dimensions, despite his illness. And I believe it. Salvador Dali. This little bugger here, who has made some of the greatest surrealistic art ever, was sex obsessed, eccentric, and very superstitious. He claimed that his subconscious was where all his art came from, and he would put himself into a state between waking and dreaming. I believe it's called a hypnagogic state, and this is where he would receive his surreal visions. Now for the women, yes, I'm getting to the women. Hildegard of Bingen. This woman was a visionary, a polymath, a writer, a composer, a philosopher, a mystic. There's plenty of books out there about how you can use certain herbs to like heal yourself, or as like a supplement for your healing journey. She reportedly had very intense visions from a young age. She documented one of these mystical experiences, which she thought was divine revelations, and she put them in her writing, and it blended definitely like science and spirituality. She was also one of the first recorded composers in history, and created an entirely unique language that was revealed to her in a vision. Everyone laughs at all our funny haha visions until they realize most of the most amazing people in history all were weirdos. Stop making fun of us. You're just jealous. But the funny thing is, you can have this too. All of us can. Okay, then we have Joan of Arc. She was a warrior mystic. She literally saved France. She was in the 15th century. She was a girl that liked to dress as a boy. Let her be. and she heard divine voices that actually guided her to lead the French army, and this is accounted in history, to victory against the English. She defied societal norms, and she gained the trust of Charles, VII 7, and she led crucial battles that shifted the course of the Hundred Years' War. I'm really doing bad. She also is said to enter trance-like states that she, which were before battles. She received divine military strategies from Archangel Michael, Saint Catherine, and Saint Margaret. Then we have Madam C.J. Walker, the first millionaire in America who is a woman and self-made. It is in the Guinness Book World Records. Legend. Her name when she was born was Sarah Breedlove in 1867. She developed and marketed a line of beauty and hair products for Black women. She was also a philanthropist and a civil rights advocate. She also said that in her dream, a mysterious man appeared to her and gave her the formula for her hair growth for the product. And that made her famous. She followed her vision and she kept experimenting until she made the groundbreaking line. She kept going. She followed the vision and kept going despite plenty of challenges. She threw extravagant parties. She outsold white beauty brands. She paid women to look rich and knew about the power of perception. And that created the illusion that her business was even more successful, which made it more successful. She even had these women called Walker agents, which also became some of the first Black and just women millionaires self-made in America. She also had hidden jazz lounge, allegedly, in her house during the Prohibition era. Rebel. She was a mystic entrepreneur. Okay, and last but not least, Ipsita Roy Chakravarti. I hope I got that right. She brought Wiccan priestessism to India in a time where it was not popular at all. And still, I don't think is. And she acknowledged her privilege that she came from a very wealthy family. And if she didn't, she probably would have been literally burned at the stake. Her autobiography is all about her spiritual journey, her life, her success. She also made a book that got turned into a movie. She basically talks about witchcraft or women that are witches as being strong, daring women who have dared to live their own life, whatever it is. She talks about drawing energy from the elements to rejuvenate yourself. You have to love nature, attune and identify with it. You have to bring it to more practical and understandable levels. You have to almost have a sensual relationship with what's around you, attuning your senses. For anyone that follows my plasma work, the link is in my bio. This is exactly the same thing. Learning how to use your subtle, divine, feminine senses. Even if you're man, woman, anyone in between, you can all do it. The thing about this that I wanted to shed a little light on is women were treated almost entirely different than men in these situations. Women who had mystical visions were suppressed, killed, burned, or forced into religious roles. As you see, a lot of them were nuns. Joan of Arc, burned at the stake. Like what? She faced massive pushback in India. Hypatia of Alexandria, who was a mystic and philosopher and polymath, brutally murdered by a mob because she was too powerful and influential. Women have these subconscious fears still. My sweetie Hildegard had to survive by very carefully aligning her teachings with the church's teachings. But men didn't have it that good either. Jack Parsons practiced dangerous occult rituals, ultimately leading to his paranoia and destruction. Nikola Tesla was a recluse, and he died isolated and penniless, still obsessed with pigeons. Isaac Newton spent a lot of his life obsessed over biblical prophecy rather than his mysticism. He didn't even share most of those insights. He got paranoid. These men were praised for their genius, but they also often misused it and obsessed over channeling it and controlling it rather than integrating it in a balanced way, which led to isolation, madness, and ruin. The question is here, what someone either goes into madness or is a woman and gets suppressed. Is there a happy medium where you can be yourself and be healthy and channel these higher dimensions? Yes. Where you can bite the apple and not get punished? Yes. People are scared of the mystical. They don't know how to handle it. For good reason. These channelings from higher dimensions are intense energy, a mix of what I call plasma and consciousness, or energy and consciousness, in the form of thought form blocks that squeeze into our bodies when we're not expanded enough for them. And it'll feel like fear. We need to keep our vessel healthy, and anyone can do it. Anyone can connect with these realms and keep themselves healthy. It's not just for geniuses, for all geniuses. I break this all down in my new book. The link is in the bio. It's called A New Force. It comes out in June. I not only talk about how to reach this place, how to do it in a healthy way while you're still embracing your weird self, not being hung up what people think or being paranoid about being hurt for your beliefs. These are programs because it's been a self-fulfilling prophecy. It does not have to be yours. Link in the bio.